Good day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Levi. This is the CyberSecurity channel. Passwords, passwords, passwords. You always need to set a different password on every website. So you hear that from me all the time, right? And normally I recommend password managers, right? Well, we all have that friend, we all have that family member, we all have that grandma that she wants to use a password book. Is using a password book a good idea, or is it a terrible idea and will cause you lots of problems down the road? For those of you that don't know what a password book is, it's where you go and write all of your passwords inside of a book. And that's where you keep all your passwords, and that's where all of your passwords are. If you don't have the book, you don't have your password. So today I'm going to teach you the risks, and I'm going to teach you the benefits of using a password book. After I'm done with that, I'm going to give you my personal opinion on using a password book. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk about the benefits here first. Benefit number one, you use a different password on every website, So if somebody doesn't want to use a password manager because they don't feel like using it, or they don't want to learn how to use it, they can use a password book and still set a different password on every website, which is what I always suggest, right? Number two, you have to have physical access to the book. So if you're using a password manager, that account can be possibly hacked, right? Somebody can remotely access that information. Well, if you have a password book, that stuff's all going to be in a book on a desk. Somebody has to physically come and steal it, or somebody has to physically come and take it from you, right? So that's a pretty good benefit too. Number three, you don't have to learn password managers to deal with their issues, and that's probably the number one reason why people would use a password book over password managers, because a password book is super easy. You just scribble all the stuff inside of there, and boom, all your passwords in there. You don't have to figure out how to set up a password manager. So yeah, those are kind of the three benefits that I thought of using a password book. So now we're going to talk about the risks. The first risk is if you don't smash that like button, all kidding aside, someone could steal or lose their password book, right? So that could be a big problem, because if you have all your passwords in your password book, then guess what? If you don't have your password book, then you can't get into anything. So that's kind of a problem, right? You have to bring it with you while you're traveling. So if you have all your passwords in a password book and you're at somewhere else, then you can't log into that application. You got to carry it with you all the time. Well, that increases your risk of somebody stealing it and getting all of your passwords. Number three, a disaster destroys it. It's kind of the same thing as the one above. If you have a fire in your house or something and it gets destroyed, then boom, all your passwords are gone and you're SOL, right? Number four, you can't read your writing. So if you have writing like mine, which is pretty terrible, I'll admit, you might not be able to read it. So you write a password in there and you don't use it for a couple of months, and you go back to read it and you're like, what the hell is this? I can't use this. I've had that happen before with other things. So I can't read my own writing sometimes. Not as long of a password. So because you're using a password book, in a password manager, you can set like 99, you can set as long as a password as you want, up to a certain limit. I mean, super long, varying on what the website limits you to. So you can set like a 99 character password in that. Well, in a password book, who's going to want to go and scribble out a 99 character password? So you're more likely to set shorter passwords, which aren't as secure, as I've talked about before. And the longer the password, the more secure. And that's one of the benefits of using a password manager. And you're also more likely to set a more predictable password, which is also something a password manager does way better. It can completely randomize it, so then there's no predictable traits inside of there. So the biggest point on these last two steps basically is that you're going to be setting easier passwords, and you're more likely to get compromised because you'll be setting easier passwords than if you used a password manager. So you guys are like,
well, Levi, look at all the risks versus all the benefits here. It looks like there's way more risks than there is benefits.
In my opinion, I highly agree. I think a password manager is a way better option than a password book. But for those people that really don't want to learn how to use a password manager, you know, you try to hammer them and you try to get them, or you're one of those people and you really just don't want to learn it, I'm going to say that a password book isn't a terrible thing. Mainly because you're using a different password on every site. The majority of the people, at least statistically, they use the same password on every single site that they go to, and that's just a huge risk. If you're involved in a data breach, boom, all your accounts can be hacked into on those sites if they're the same. So the fact that you have a different password on every site, I really like that. If you don't want to use a password manager, then put it in a book. Like, I'm fine with that. Yes, you have the risk of it getting stolen. Yes, you have the risk of losing it. But I think your risk for that is less than your risk for getting involved in a data breach and having the same password on every site. But obviously, that's not the best method. I highly suggest using a password manager. In reality, do that. But if you're not going to do that, then use a password book. So that's kind of my take on it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this content. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.